Processes and procedures. Documented processes and procedures ensure consistency, repeatability, and reliability in outcomes. Imagine you've just bought a flat pack furniture set from IKEA. Let's call it the Borderless. It's a sleek desk, perfect for your home office. You open the box, and out tumbles a 17-page booklet filled with illustrations that look more like hieroglyphics than instructions. You begin the process, convinced you're doing everything right. But halfway through, you realize you've fastened the top of the desk to what is actually the bottom. You sigh, you disassemble your progress, and you start over. Finally, you've got it. A beautiful, albeit slightly wobbly desk that stands before you. You're filled with pride until you glance down and see a handful of screws and brackets and that one mystery piece that's always left over. You shrug. The desk seems stable enough. This, my friend, is a perfect analogy for corporate processes and procedures. You see, companies often hand employees a flat pack set of tasks, complete with a labyrinth of procedures to follow if you're lucky. However, instructions may be vague or overly complex, like trying to interpret IKEA's wordless diagrams. Inevitably, you'll find yourself halfway through a project only to realize you've done something wrong. Maybe you've misinterpreted a step, or perhaps you missed a crucial piece of information buried in the fine print on page 12. So you backtrack, correct your error, and move forward again. And those extra pieces, they represent the unnecessary steps that often sneak into corporate processes. They're the equivalent of redundant meetings, access paperwork, and unnecessary approval stages. You're not sure why they're there, but someone somewhere decided they were important. In the end, like your IKEA desk, the final product might work, but it's not as efficient or stable as it could be, and everyone is left wondering why there are still so many leftover screws. As a management expert, I've seen time and time again how the success of an organization hinges on the small details, such as having those documented processes and procedures. It may seem like a tedious task, but it's actually one of the most important things you can do to ensure the efficiency and productivity of your team. Many people take this for granted and assume that it's just a bunch of paperwork, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Not having documented processes and procedures can lead to all sorts of problems, including wasted time, money, and resources, as well as decreased productivity. In this day and age, businesses are moving at a lightning fast pace, and it's crucial that every aspect of your organization is streamlined and optimized. Having documented processes and procedures allows for a repeatable and consistent outcome, ensuring that everyone follows the same steps and that mistakes are minimized. It allows new employees to quickly get up to speed on what they need to do, saving time and resources on training. Documenting your processes can help you improve them over time. By analyzing the steps and procedures, you can identify areas that can be streamlined, cut out unnecessary steps, and find ways to improve overall efficiency. This can lead to cost savings, better resource allocation, and increased productivity. So let's take a look at a key process to drive stability. In the previous module, we talked about the 15 core operational roles. Now, for those 15 core operational roles, we're going to be ensuring that we have 15 core operational processes. Likewise, we discussed the 23 steady state operational roles. Now we're going to make sure that we have the 23 steady state operational processes. So again, for every role, you need to make sure there's a process for that role and subsequent procedures in terms of how to execute various elements of that role. As we continue, we'll take a look in more detail as to the roles, their processes, and some examples. One new item that we're introducing here from a process perspective is the first line management process. So as a manager, we know that there's 7 essential systems that you need to be aware of: the roles and responsibilities, the processes and procedures, the meetings, technology and tools, reporting and measurements, analytics and optimization, and continual service improvement. But as we stated, now you also need to make sure that you have a process for each of these 7 elements. What is your process for defining the roles and responsibilities on your team? What is your process for documenting processes and procedures on your team? What is your process for holding meetings, having a set of meetings and agenda and meeting minutes, etc.? What is your process for ensuring that you have the right technology and tools, that you're looking at the right reports and measurements, that you're analyzing the right data in the right manner, and that all the observations you're making, you're driving it through a continual service improvement program? So it doesn't have to be complicated. You have a set of roles. Now what we're discussing is the set of processes for each of those roles. Another new item that we'll be discussing in this module are the upline management processes or senior management processes and governance processes. So upline management, well, you're taking this course to become a better manager. And by how do you become a better manager? By understanding the 7 essential first line management systems. But now you know that when you look at the upline management processes, these are the 16 processes that your senior manager is focused on. So once you master your 7 first line management foundational elements, now you can start to incorporate elements of the upline management system. So by understanding the upline management process, so as a first line manager, you're focused on cost. But as a senior manager, you're focused on billing, revenue, cost, gross profit, etc. The upline manager is also focused on service level management across the team, customer relationship management, business controls management, cross department management, etc. So by documenting these processes and by being aware of these processes, it'll help you in your roadmap for development. Once you master your management processes, management systems, then you move on to the upline. Another area that we'll take a look at are the governance processes. So you have your first line, you have your operational management systems, you have your first line management systems, now you have your upline management systems, and the last item is the governance systems. So these are processes around how do you conduct steering committee meetings? How do you conduct the Joint Innovation Council? What's the process to manage the governance meetings? What's the process to manage the monthly operational meetings? So as you look at this picture and you go from slide to slide, you start to realize that everything is tying into one another. You're connecting the dots. So we started with the core steady state processes. We shifted to the steady state processes. We talked about the people management, systems, roles, noun processes. We introduced the first line management processes. We introduced the upline management processes, and we introduced the governance processes. So now you can see how they're all connected and they evolve as you elevate from one role to the other. Now let's take a look at the top 10 benefits of defining processes and procedures. First benefit, consistency. We all agree that documenting processes ensures consistent outcomes. Regardless of who is performing the task, the results remain the same, reducing variability and errors. Efficiency. Clearly outlined steps prevent the wheel from being reinvented each time a task is undertaken. This streamlines operations and reduces time wastage. Training and onboarding. New employees can be onboarded more rapidly as there's a clear, documented method for them to follow. This minimizes the resources spent on extensive training. Accountability. When processes are defined, it's clear who is responsible for each step. This promotes accountability and ensures that tasks are completed as required. Continuous improvement. With everything documented, it's easier to review and refine processes. Regular reviews can lead to improvements, boosting overall efficiency. Risk reduction. Documented processes and procedures ensure that tasks are performed in a consistent manner, reducing the risk of errors, oversights, and accidents. Empowerment. Employees are more confident when they have clear guidelines to follow. This reduces hesitation and empowers them to take action. Scalability. As an organization grows, documented processes make it easier to expand departments or introduce new teams. The foundation already exists to bring new members on board. Transparency. Everyone in the organization has a clear understanding of how things are done. This transparency can improve collaboration and trust amongst the teams. And finally, cost savings. Efficiency often translates to cost savings. By reducing errors, minimizing waste, and improving resource allocation, organizations can realize significant financial benefits. So let's take a look at a use case. In this case, we'll take a look at a large transportation client. So the situation here was that a large transportation company was struggling with the uptime and availability of its products and services, and this was resulting in significant business impact and customer complaints. So the task was minimize the volume of disruptions to the business, improve the response and resolve times to those disruptions, and improve the client experience. The actions that were taken was first, to review the data to validate the issues. Second action, identify the failing areas. Third action, determine the root cause and contributing factors of those failing areas. And the fourth action was to implement an action plan to remediate the issues. So from a results perspective, what we did was we determined that one of the key reasons, and there were numerous, by the way, was a lack of processes and procedures. People didn't know what to do or how to do things. After identifying the failing areas, process documentation was written and people were trained on those processes. People were also told to contribute and use the knowledge base to resolve issues quickly and in a consistent manner. Customer satisfaction improved, disruptions decreased, and the response and resolution times also improved. In conclusion, as a manager, establishing clear processes and procedures is pivotal, not just for clarity, but for achieving operational efficiency. So by having well-documented processes, everyone in the organization aligns with a common understanding, ensuring consistency in execution and setting clear expectations. This documentation not only makes training new employees more streamlined, but it also serves as an ongoing reference for the entire team. So while initiating this documentation might seem daunting, it doesn't have to be a complex endeavor. With the right approach and continuous updating, these processes remain effective tools for your team. So, are you ready to explore now how meetings can further enhance the processes and procedures you've set? In our next module, we'll dive deep into the world of meetings, showcasing how various meetings can simplify, optimize, and revolutionize the way your organization operates. So just as processes lay the groundwork, meetings provide the mechanism to ensure alignment with expectations. So join us on this journey to harness the power of meetings in organizational management.